Guys, what is this? They changed Spider-Man's face. Let's talk about that. Hey everybody, how's it going? It's Taylor Campbell, and welcome back to Comic Crash, my little show on the internet where I talk about comic books and stuff. And today, the stuff we are talking about. So, they did something weird to Spider-Man PS4. For those of you who aren't familiar with the game, or let's just go ahead and get a recap done. Just, the obligatory recap. So, Spider-Man PS4 was released in 2018 on the PS4 under the title Marvel Spider-Man, but we all call it Spider-Man PS4 because it was on the PS4 and it was just called Spider-Man, so whatever. But this game is fantastic. It is beautiful. It is very well done. One of my favorite games, probably the best Spider-Man game we've gotten ever. And we've had some really great ones in the past. Spider-Man 2000 comes to mind, Spider-Man 2, Ultimate Spider-Man. We've had a lot of real good ones out there. Now, when they announced the PS5, everyone was pretty sure that the Spider-Man PS4 would at least be playable on the system. Especially when we learned it was backwards compatible. Yeah, okay, we're going to play Spider-Man PS4 on the PS5, just, the original version. But then we got a surprise announcement that not only is it going to be playable on the PS4, but they're remaking the game for the PS5. So yeah, 2 years later, we're already getting a remastered version of this game. That's how popular and how good this game is. And with this announcement, we were given tons of cool information. So they're utilizing a lot of the PS5's new technology to allow reflections to work better. They might even add more puddles. I know that everyone's upset about puddles, but we might get more puddles. And they even announced that we're getting the Amazing Spider-Man as a costume, and that's so cool. I mean, that was one of the things that a lot of people felt was really missing from the original version of this game, was that we had the Tom Holland costumes, all of them, and we had the Tobey Maguire costume, but we were missing Andrew Garfield, and they're the Amazing Spider-Man was the forgotten middle child of these movies, and it's okay, where did this go? But they announced that there's going to be 3 more costumes that come in on the remastered edition, and one of them is indeed the Amazing Spider-Man movie suit. And then they announced another big change, and I'm not sure where I stand on it. Actually, I am pretty sure about where I stand on it. I don't like it. I think this is weird. They completely changed Peter Parker's face. Entirely. So if you'll notice, originally in the PS4 version, Spider-Man Peter Parker had this face, whereas the new one is, this one. It looks much younger and such. Now, I understand that the reason why they changed it, or the reason they gave, was because the new one looks a little bit more like the voice actor than the previous face, but here's the thing, though. In this game, Spider-Man is supposed to be an older post-college graduate guy. He's in his mid to late 20s, he's reaching up there, and he's an experienced Spider-Man. And to portray this, I think they went ahead and tried to make him a little bit older looking in the game. And they accomplished this by combining the faces of the 3 popular movie Spider-Man. I mean, I saw that post online once. Spider-Man PS4 looks like Spider-Man. He looks like all of the actors combined. It's kind of neat. This new one, though, I can't help but think that, he looks just like Tom Holland. Which, I mean, isn't a problem, but I'm saying that for narrative's sake, I'm not totally sold on this. I think this looks kind of funky. And now that this is the new canon, I have to ask myself a couple of questions here, and since I'm asking myself, I might as well ask all of you, my friends, what does this mean for the game as it is? Are we going to get like a really big patch in the PS4 game that changes Peter Parker's face to this? Are we going to see this for like all of the future games? Is this just a testing the waters kind of thing? Like, we know that Spider-Man 2 is inevitably going to be released. So are we going to use this same model, or are we going to go back? Or I just don't know. I don't know what this is or what it means. And it confuses me. Now, this is definitely not a game-breaking thing for me. I'm totally fine with that. I don't spend much time as Peter Parker, except that now with 2 more costumes that have been unrevealed, one of them is, I'm sure, going to be a Peter Parker skin. Like, you can just swing around the game as Peter Parker. You were able to do that in almost all of the other Spider-Man games, and I imagine that this will be the case as well. But I mean, unless you're using that particular skin and you're like swinging the camera to the front of Spider-Man a whole lot, it probably won't make that much of a difference. But yeah, like I said, this isn't really a game-breaking thing at all. Like, this doesn't ruin the game for me. Most of the time, Spider-Man has a full face mask anyway. I think all this does is it means that the other 2 unrevealed costumes could potentially be face revealing ones. Like, we could have just a straight up Peter Parker skin, or, you know, like a torn mask, maybe. But for the more human moments, that's a big point of concern for me, because like, I'm sure the animations will be transferred over, but for a story and for a version of this character who is more mature, who isn't in high school, who has been Spider-Man for a while now and understands the ropes, understands what he's doing, it's going to be weird to like watch that and then see like a kid's face in it. I mean, it's nothing against Tom Holland, but that's kind of how I feel when I watch the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies. At least he's still in high school, but like, he looks really young, and this new PS4 model looks really young too. And it's not a point of concern for me on like a gameplay aspect, or as far as like listening to the voice or whatever. It's just weird that of all the changes they would make, they would go that far. I wonder like where this choice actually came from, or why, or what was wrong with the old one. I don't know. Anyway, so that's enough of me rambling here, but I'd like to know what you think of this change. Is this like something that makes sense? Is it a change that you prefer? Is it a change that you're just neutral on and you think I'm just crazy for talking about it so much? Go ahead and leave a thought in the comments below. I'd love to hear about it. And hey, until next time, thank you for joining me. Have a great day, and remember to always be your best self.